Hello, all you Order of K-less inductees out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. This is Undeclared Bajor, the best Star Trek DS9 discussion podcast.
The best.
My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Hello.
Today we're going to discuss Star Trek DS9 Season 7, Episode 21, When It Rains.
Wow, you're very enthusiastic about that when it rains.
Well, I'm just trying to trail off, because that ellipsis is in the title.
It's true, it is.
Alternate title, Deep Sigma 9.
Okay. I'll allow it.
Because, Sigma 9. This episode originally aired May 5th, 1999, Cinco de Mayo. It was written by Renee Echevarria, story by Renee Echevarria, and Spike Steingasser.
Yeah, good old Spike. I'm sure we've seen him lots of times, right?
I'm kind of curious what element of this story needed Spike Steingasser to come up with, but...
Let's see. Spike Steingasser is a writer who worked on the Next Generation episode Homeward and the Deep Space Nine episode When It Rains.
Wow, what a career.
I go to his IMDb. He has 5 actor credits, 4 stunt credits, and 2 writer credits, I assume, are this. Yeah. So let's see. His actor credits are The Hunted TV series, 2 episodes. The Bacchae as Soldier Number 4. Alien Secrets, which is a video.
Never heard of any of this stuff.
Nope. La Fleur de la Bataille, a short. And then The Hunted, but this time not a TV series. And it also from 15 years later, but the image appears exactly the same, but also he plays a different character. So
I guess The Hunted got that movie.
Yeah, like 15 years later, somebody came back and was like, we need a movie about The Hunted. And you were in a couple episodes. You can come back.
It was like The Hunted got a Serenity.
Yeah. Good for them, I guess. Yep. There were 58 episodes of the original series, according to this. So,
So
yeah, Spike Steingasser, real busy Hollywood icon, honestly.
Yeah, sounds like he's just all over the place. So do we have any clue about his role in this particular episode, or will we just get to that?
No, as I was looking through the notes, there's absolutely nothing. The only mention of Spike on the wiki page is where it says story by.
Like, was he like, okay, I have an idea for an episode. First, they need to, Kira needs to go help Damar set up his resistance. Also, Bashir needs to investigate Odo's virus. Also, Gowron needs to show up and take over the war effort. They're like, that's a great episode. Let's do that.
All of these things sound like good things.
And the episode was directed by Michael Dorn.
It was. I like the note here. Sarah Clofton does not appear in this episode.
Yep.
And also, if you happen to notice that Worf appears conspicuously absent, it's partially because the episode was directed by Michael Dorn. So not wholly, but partially.
He was in a lot of scenes. I didn't feel he was conspicuously absent.
Yeah, I didn't think that until I read that, and I was like, was he? Huh.
I mean, there's definitely episodes that he's directed where he's been way more conspicuously absent. But we will be discussing spoilers up through this episode, but not after this episode, so not the, 5 episodes that are after this. We won't spoil those.
I'm going to spoil all of them right now.
But we could spoil other stuff, like books and TV shows and movies. I started watching Alien Earth, which will probably be all the way finished by the time this episode goes online at the rate I'm editing. But there's aliens in it. There's aliens.
Is there an Earth?
It does take place on Earth. There's
wow.
aliens and it takes place on Earth. So truth in advertising as far as that title is concerned.
Yeah.
But what about the title for this episode? When It Rains.
So the note here about the episode title.
Drawn
from the English phrase, when it rains, it pours, said usually when a series of bad things happen in tandem. Isn't tandem 2? Anyway.
Yeah, I think like a tandem bicycle.
Yeah, this is likely a reference to how much happens to different characters and the series. Odo's infection is revealed, Gowron takes control of the Klingon forces, Kira, Garrick, and Odo team up to help the Cardassian Liberation Front. So, I mean, okay.
Is it just a reference to the fact that there's a bunch of storylines in this episode?
I mean, when it rains, I guess is supposed to indicate that bad things are happening.
Uh-huh.
I mean, at least two of those things, I guess, like the Gowron thing and the Odo thing definitely seem bad. I don't know about the other thing being necessarily bad, but it is one of those real generic titles that could apply to almost any episode, where it's like, because in many episodes, several bad things happen. That is part of the drama of the episodes. So right. I don't know that anything about this episode really stands out to me. It's like, oh, here's where the bad stuff happens. Maybe like the previous episode would have been better for that.
Yeah, that's an episode where a bunch of bad stuff happened.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff in this episode is relatively minor.
So, I don't think it's memorable because it really is just a generic phrase that could apply anywhere to anything. I don't remember when you say that phrase that it's also an episode of Deep Space Nine. I definitely couldn't put it with this episode. I don't think it's particularly clever. It's just, I don't think on any of the scales it's scoring very high.
Yeah, I think it has to have like a 0 across the board because it's just a totally random title slapped on this episode.
Yeah.
But, so, anyway, when we start off, Chief O'Brien makes a presentation of his findings after the disastrous Battle of Chintaka, a thing that was way worse than all the stuff in this episode put together.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty seriously bad. For our side. I mean, for the Dominion, it was awesome.
True. Yeah. We're looking at this from a very Federation-centric perspective. That's true.
Yeah.
But all the Allied ships in that battle got disabled by the Breen ion cannon, except for one. A Klingon bird of prey that had just made an adjustment to their tritium intermix. Under the assumption that this isn't just a coincidence, Martok has all his Klingon ships make the same adjustment.
I mean, you could assume that it was a coincidence, or you could assume that the only thing you found might be helpful and go ahead and try it.
True. As long as it's not like a, super hard to do or expensive thing, which it's probably not.
Maybe these Federation and Romulan ships need to get some tritium intermixes going.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, that's the problem. The Federation and Romulan ships, they don't have tritium intermix, which is a totally real-sounding thing that we've heard.
We've heard about many times, yeah.
So they're going to have to figure something else out. So for now, only the Klingons can fight the Breen. And I think we're working under the assumption that the Breen have shared their technology with the Jem'Hadar and the Cardassians.
One would think, yeah.
Yeah, we're not even gonna risk that. It's like, oh, it's only Jem'Hadar. Let's give it a try. We're not even, yeah. So the Klingons are gonna have to do all the heavy lifting for a while.
Yeah, Martok's gonna have 1,500 ships, protecting all of the Federation and the Klingon Empire and the Romulan Empire.
True, but I think they say they're outnumbered like 20-1 or something like that.
So. He says 20 to, the Romulan guy says 20-1, and Martok acknowledges that is correct, which means that the Dominion has about 30,000 ships, which that really does seem like a lot.
I don't know. Space is big. You need a lot of ships.
Well, that's true, but I'm just like, if the Klingons had 1,500, did the Romulans and Federation have that much more than that to make this an even fight before? Because it seems weird that like the Federation battle fleet would be that much larger than the Klingon battle fleet.
Wow. Yeah, this is there's a lot of questionable stuff in this episode, and a lot of nonsense technobabble stuff, and hand waving, and lots of ridiculous jumping to conclusions. But they may be able to get a little help if Damar's rebellion takes off. However, Damar is a by-the-books soldier with little knowledge of smaller-scale insurgency tactics. The attack on Rondak 3 apparently did not go super great. So I think they said they lost half their soldiers, and they didn't even wind up taking it. So
it's like half the guys died for like Damar's joke where he took out like the Wayuns, that really maybe you committed too much there.
I mean, I guess we did get confirmation last episode, right, that the Wayun facility was destroyed. So
we did. Yep.
I guess at least that part of it was a success. Anyway, Sisko decides that Damar and his people need some training by an actual expert in underground resistance fighting. And Sisko knows just the person for the job, which is Kira.
Lee Nollis? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Whatever happened to
he's dead.
Guy? Oh, Lee Nollis is dead. Who's Kira's ex-boyfriend?
Shakar. I mean, he's the leader of Bajor. He probably can't go.
Oh, is he still the first minister? Yeah. We haven't heard anything about the actual Bajoran government in a long time. So.
No, it's apparently not been relevant, I guess, except for Kai Wynn and the crap that she pulls.
Right. So, but Kira points out a couple of problems with this plan. Number one, Kira hates Damar after Damar murdered Zial, which is the only time this will get mentioned this episode.
Yeah, actually, there's some stuff in here about Kira not Kira. The Nana Visitor was like, hey, I really think that there should be a scene where me and Damar like talk about Zial and what happened there. And then it seems like completely separately, Andrew J. Robinson was like, I really feel like Garak and Damar should have a scene where they talk about Zial and what happened there.
Oh yeah, I think it seems like the writers totally forgot that Garak like also cared for Zial. So Andrew J. Robinson says the writers didn't give Garak a lot of room to adjust or react initially to Damar. Given that Damar had killed Zial, it essentially went unresolved, and I had to squeeze some subtext into the beginning of the first scene between them. So I guess look out for that subtext when you get there. Next time I'm going to be watching for that subtext from now on. So,
and then Nana Visitor, for her part, was like, so yeah, Ira Stephen Bear was like, look, I get that you feel like this would make sense, that there's this unresolved thing hanging between them, but on a like on a big level, putting that scene into the episode doesn't help anybody. Like, we're trying to turn Damar into like in this new direction and build him up as this new kind of figure, and going into that would be a step backwards in the story. So we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, I mean, some writers do stuff like having people address these things and kind of finding ways to use them to strengthen their character development, but let's not do that. So problem number 2 is that Damar and his people are hiding and nobody knows where they are. But Sisko waves that one away with, I bet Garak can figure that out. In fact, take Garak with you. It'll be fun. And Kira's like, okay.
Yeah, Kira has never been a big fan of Garak. We've established that previously. Like that time when supposedly someone had tried to assassinate Garak, he kept trying to be like, I think it might have been Major Kira that did it. And unlike some of our other characters, like Kira actually has warmed up to Quark on some occasions because of the things Quark has done. I don't think there's ever been a time where it was like, oh yeah, Garak and Kira had a chance to like make friends.
Yeah, that's a little weird because Kira has she's warmed up to lots of Cardassians before. Like, she's really made a lot of progress in that area. But I guess Garak is there's just something about that guy. She doesn't like him. I don't know.
I mean, he does lie constantly about everything.
True.
I feel like that would make it hard to trust him for many people.
This is true. But down in the infirmary, Bashir tells Odo about a new project he's working on. You see, in battle, people sometimes get their organs damaged and need to have them replaced. Easy enough if you have a supply of artificial organs ready to transplant. But then you have to take a big stock of organs with you wherever you go. And that takes up space.
Yeah, lugging around like that many hearts is just a pain in the butt, I know.
Yeah, it's just, and you got to keep track of it, and you have to just keep track of which box has what organ in it. It would be way simpler if we could just inject something into someone, and it can turn into whatever organ they need.
I mean, presumably that old damaged organ is still in there, but whatever.
It'll fight that old organ out of the way, or it'll eat that old organ. Who knows? The sky's the limit. But this got Bashir to thinking, wait, I know a guy that's made of just one thing, but he can turn into lots of different things. So Bashir asks Odo for a sample of his changeling goo so he can test it and figure out how to make organs with it. And Odo was like, okay, whatever. And he emits a sample of goo out of his finger.
He's really annoyed about it, though, especially when Bashir's like, a little bit more, please. And Odo's like, fine.
Yeah.
I'll help you save thousands of lives, whatever.
How about you tell me how much goo you want? But he tells Bashir, I want that goo back when me and Kira get back from this mission to help Damar. That's the goo I used to make... Well, never mind. Then Odo leaves and Bashir stares happily at his sample of goo, like, I can't believe he actually fell for that. Meanwhile, down on Bajor, or maybe some other time, because who knows how simultaneous these stories are.
Yep.
Kai Wynn is talking to the cops, and she's like, yep, man, no clue what happened to Sobor. Hope he turns up soon. And then she and Dukat have a little chat about what's what going forward. The main thing is, no more doing it. That party is officially over after Kai Wynn found out her boyfriend was a genocidal monster.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, fair. I mean,
but we've gone over to the dark side now, so isn't that good? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in Wynn's head, quite honestly, during any of this stuff.
Yeah. Dukat is like, well, we're still going to release the Pa Wraiths and presumably do a genocide by doing that, right? And then Kai Wynn's like, oh yeah, that genocide is totally fine. We are still full steam ahead on that. Yep. Genocide of the Bajoran people. But the one you did was bad.
Right.
Then she sits down and starts reading through the text of the Coast Emojin. And Dukat is like, you need any help with that? And then Wynn is like, no, this book is for the Kai's eyes only. And it's like, wait, is that a Pa Wraith rule? I thought that was just kind of like a rule set by the prophet worshippers to keep evil knowledge from falling into the wrong hands.
As we established last time, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense regardless. Right. But, I mean, she is the Kai, so I guess True. That can just be her rule at this point.
True. Although later
it's clearly there's some definite magic in there that, I don't know.
So the Pa Wraiths were like, okay, only the Pope of our opposing religion can read our book.
Right.
This assumes that the Pa Wraiths were in charge of making this book. Maybe this was written by like prophet worshippers and I don't know. Or maybe Kai Wynn actually, like, she gets to read the book not because she's the Kai, but because she's the one who like did the blood sacrifice to be able to read the book.
Oh, that would make sense, yeah.
They just never figure this out, so it's never addressed in the episode. I don't know.
I mean, also, while she's reading it openly on the table, he like looks at it several times. I don't know at what point it turns into reading that is bad.
If the book detects that her eyes, like if it's like doing a retina scan or something, and if it sees that her eyes are not reading the book, but someone else's are, then I don't know. But back in Sisko's office, Sisko and Ross discuss the upcoming arrival of the man himself, Chancellor Gowron, who's going to induct Martok into the Order of Kalis.
Good order to be in.
Yep, sounds good. Then Kira comes in with Garrick and is like, oh, good news, Garrick found Damar. And he's like, yeah, it was pretty easy. I just figured, he's probably on the cave set planet.
Garrick was like, I looked for an open bar, and he was there.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I called up my friend in like the liquor business. I was like, have you had any like unusually large orders of Kanar lately? It's like, oh yeah, we're sending a bunch to the cave set planet these days.
Yeah.
But anyway, they talk to Damar, and he approves of the plan with one catch. The Cardassians don't want to see anyone wearing a Bajoran uniform.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they are Bajoran. That's not relevant. It's the uniform that offends.
Exactly. This uniform would remind them of the time the Cardassians were defeated by a ragtag bunch of terrorists as they're training to be a ragtag bunch of terrorists. We just can't have that. However, this poses a problem, apparently, as Kira has taken some sort of sacred oath, I assume, that she can only wear uniforms. She can't change into any other kinds of clothes. So Sisko comes up with a brilliant plan. He will give Kira a commission as a commander in Starfleet, allowing her to wear a Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
Utterly ridiculous problem solved. And luckily Garrick's here, so he can tailor her a very sharp-looking, custom-tailored Starfleet uniform.
And do it in Odo's office for some reason.
Oh, was that Odo's office? I thought it was his... I guess they didn't want to set up the Garrick shop set for this one scene.
Yeah. Like you can see the wanted posters behind him and everything. It's great.
Oh yeah. There's like, I swear, like Wolverine or somebody is wanted on those wanted posters, because I got distracted by that at one point.
Maybe he is. You know, he pulls all sorts of stuff and lives for a long time.
True.
So
Odo didn't take that uniform oath though, so he can just shapeshift into some regular looking clothes.
Sorry, I brought it up, and when Odo changes, it looks like Hawkman behind him or something, or maybe that's Wolverine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Hawkman is what I first jumped to also.
Also, I love that like Odo changes his clothes and Garrick is like, it's kind of drab, and then I looked at his like completely monocolored outfit that Garrick is wearing, and I was like, really? You're calling someone else out for being drab? Yeah,
but I mean, Garrick has a certain like sense of style and panache. You just wouldn't understand like if you're not into fashion like Garrick is. So meanwhile, at Damar's Cave Set HQ on Cave Set Planet, Damar and Gull Steve talk about the short supply of food. Damar says he asked Garrick to bring some replicators, and Gull Steve is like, "Oh man, Federation replicators? You mean we have to eat hamburgers and stuff?"
Yeah, I hate that. Why can't we have, I don't know, what do the Cardassians eat?
Don't they eat those eggs from that one episode?
Let's see, Cardassian foods. Oh yeah, we got the Regova egg, Yamak sauce. We know about Yamak sauce. That goes on all sorts of stuff. This says Larish pie. A bunch of other stuff that I don't remember ever having heard of.
Yeah, I bet these replicators can't make Yamak sauce at all.
Also, fish juice. Yeah, but I bet that's not in there.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, it's bad enough we have to learn how to fight from Kira. And Damara's like, yeah, well, Kira knows how to do the exact thing we're trying to do, so suck it up. I hear they made her change her uniform, so now nobody will get offended. I
mean, given how much Damar has always really hated Kira, it does seem strange to me that he's like, no, just shut up.
Yeah, Damar is over it at this point. He's like, I'm fine with Kira.
It turned out she was right all along, so...
Right. But Gull Steve is like, well, if she's not wearing the uniform, then that's different. It's all cool. Back on Deep Space Nine, Cisco, Ross, Worf, and Martok welcome Gowron at the airlock. And then Gowron looks at Worf and is like, whoa, what's that guy doing here? Aren't I supposed to hate him or something? Whatever. I don't even remember what that was about. So,
yeah, I can't keep up with that, so let's just go for it.
So let's all crack open some of this blood wine I brought. And Martok is like, oh man, 2309 blood wine, I hope. That's the best.
Obviously. So apparently, I didn't realize Gowron hasn't shown up since season 5. So this is his grand return.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it has been a while since we've seen Gowron, so...
Although, we did see the actor recently in Bada Bing, Bada Bang, so...
True. Yeah, I guess, was the last time we saw him...
it was By Inferno's Light.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so they walk off to drink their blood wine, and then Cisco and Ross just stand there like, I guess we're not invited. No. Even though I'm not sure how they decided that.
You were not invited.
I just imagine, like, Gowron is like, wait, aren't they coming? Like, in the infirmary, Bashir chats with O'Brien while he examines the Odo sample, and Bashir talks about how he thinks Ezri might be avoiding him. He was about to ask her about it, but then they got interrupted. So he asked her to come to the infirmary so he could give her some test results as a pretext for asking her why she's been avoiding him. And O'Brien is like...
No medical ethics, problems there.
O'Brien is like, isn't that unethical? And then Bashir is like, what?
Yeah, have you met me?
Right. I mean, regardless if it's unethical, it's a pretty dickish thing to do, so...
I mean, having watched Voyager... kind of recently, there are several times where the Doctor brings up doctor-patient confidentiality. It is like an important story point, or other ethical concerns where he's like, I can't do that. That would be unethical. And I'm like, dude, this hologram is so much more ethical than Bashir. Right? Maybe it's good that they didn't use Bashir as the model for the next one. Although apparently they used Andy Dick as the model for that, and I can't imagine anyone that he was is good. So
right. Nobody who looks like Andy Dick can be a good person. But yeah, then Ezri comes into the infirmary looking all nervous and is like, what's this urgent news about my test results? And then O'Brien is like, okay, I'm leaving. And then Bashir is like, yep, and he picks up a pad. I have your test results saying whether or not you have super cancer right here. But while I have you, remember when I asked you why you were avoiding me and then we got interrupted? Like, what's that all about? And Ezri says, okay, well, the thing is, me and Worf... And then Bashir interrupts. He's like, oh, I get it. You and Worf are dating now. That's totally cool. I'm happy for you. And Ezri is like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And Bashir is like, no, I don't want to hear anymore. I've got all the information I need. And then as Ezri tries to explain some more, Bashir gets distracted by some beeping from the thingy that's examining the Odo sample. And he's like, oh my god. And Ezri is like, I'm never going to find out these test results, am I?
Nope, she has super cancer or whatever it said.
So Bashir calls up Odo on the runabout on its way to the Damar mission and tells Odo what he's found. Which is that Odo has the changeling disease. Wait, didn't you specifically clear me of the changeling disease before? Also, how do you even know how to detect the changeling disease? You only heard about it third hand after Weyun told me and I told you. But they decide there's not much to be done about it at this point, so Odo continues on with his mission, and Kira is like, whoa, are we just not going to take a moment with this?
Nope. None of that.
Then late night on Bajor, Dukat sneaks into the Kai's office with the Kostamojan book key that he got somehow to sneak a peek. So he opens up the book and starts flipping through, but then some red magic shoots out of the book and into Dukat's eyes, blinding him. And Kai Wynn rushes in her pajamas and is like, you idiot, I told you, the text of the Kostamojan is for my eyes only.
I heard the book opening sounds and I rushed in.
Right. And Dukat is like, you mean that's a real thing enforced by like a magic spell?
Nobody told me that.
Right.
I mean, was he just gonna, did he think that, like, she'd been studying it for days, apparently. Did he think he was just gonna come in and discover the answer real quick?
Probably. On Deep Space Nine, Gowron does a ceremony where he cuts his hand and drips some blood onto the Order of Kalis medal, and then he hands the knife to Martok, who cuts his own hand to accept the medal.
The hand is not a good place to cut.
And then Sisko looks at Ross and is like, we're next. And Ross is like, seriously? We didn't get to go to the blood wine party, but we have to do the hand cutting thing? But everybody celebrates Martok with some blood wine, and then Gowron tells Martok, hey, more good news. I've decided to take command of the Klingon forces myself and be in charge of the war effort personally. So you can take your ship and have fun fighting on the front lines or whatever, and I'll do all the administrative stuff and strategy.
Yeah.
And everybody looks around like, wait, what?
You get all the good stuff, and I'll do the boring, being in charge.
And Dr. Bashir, working on the Odo virus situation, calls Starfleet Medical to do something I have done many, many times in my life, which is request medical records.
Yep.
He's trying to get his hands on the records from when Odo got examined by Starfleet Medical, but he keeps getting the runaround. Finally, he gets connected with a commander who's like, well, what do you want the records for? And he's like, well, Odo has the changeling virus, and I'm going to try to find a cure for him. And the guy's like, the cure? Well, haven't you done tons and tons of exams of Odo both before and after that one time he went to Starfleet Medical? Shouldn't you have way better data than we do at this point? And Bashir's like, sure, but I want these specific records, just cuz.
Yeah.
Like, these are the key? I don't know. Just give them to me. And the guy's like, well, okay, makes sense. And then Bashir's like, great, so I can have the records? And the guy's like, oh, no.
No, of course not.
I don't want to give you the records if you're just going to use it to cure a disease that our enemies have. And also, you need Sigma 9 clearance for those. So Bashir goes to hang out at Quark's to drink and complain with O'Brien, and O'Brien is like, wait, maybe Captain Sisko has Sigma 9 clearance.
Yeah, what a crazy random idea that is, that somebody above you might have the clearance you want. Who would have thought?
This one little thought deserved its entire own scene.
Yeah.
Then Kira, Odo, and Garrick show up at Damar's cave set HQ, drop off their food replicators, and get to work. Kira gives a lecture on how underground resistance movements work. She's like, okay, so first of all, don't have all your people hanging out in one big cave. You gotta split everyone up into little autonomous cells and spread them out.
Yeah.
Then you gotta do little strategic attacks on select targets. No more of this sending your whole army to attack one clone facility just to screw over one guy you don't like.
Who would have thought that kind of thinking would be helpful?
Damar's like, okay, this is good stuff, yes. And then they're like, well, we think the weapons depot on Atarak Prime looks like a promising first target. But Gold Steve is like, but Atarak Prime is guarded by Cardassians. And Damara's like, yeah, we don't want to attack Cardassians. But Kira's like, well, if that's your policy, the Dominion will just put Cardassians at every single potential target. And Damara's like, oh yeah, never mind then. Let's just attack Atarak Prime. And Gold Steve is like, what? No. But Damara is just like, shut up. And they get to work planning the attack.
Yeah, so not Gull Steve, but another guy in this scene who is unhappy about Atarak Prime. Like, he jumps up behind Damar and is like, you expect us to attack our own people? There's a note in here about that guy, because he's played by Vaughn Armstrong. And it says, this is his second appearance in the series, on his way towards playing an unequaled 13 roles in various Star Trek series.
Oh, wow. It was his second role in Deep Space Nine or all of Star Trek?
No, his second role in Deep Space Nine. He goes all the way back to, like, season 1 of Next Generation, where he played one of the Klingons when we meet Klingons.
Nice.
For, like, the first time. And he played another Cardassian in an episode of Deep Space Nine. He plays a Romulan in a Voyager episode, but also, he was in Voyager a lot. He plays a Vidian, a Hirogen, a Klingon on the holodeck. And then he gets a recurring role in a bunch of episodes of Enterprise as an admiral. But, so yeah, this guy has been around the block on Star Trek is the thing.
I hope he has, like, a big wall in his house of just, like, pictures of him in all of his different Star Trek roles.
I mean, I would, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So back on the station, Bashir has had some good luck. It turns out that Sisko did, in fact, have Sigma 9 clearance.
I'm sure glad we didn't need a whole scene of Bashir right. going to Sisko and explaining what he wanted and why.
Yeah, this is well, I don't think this entire Sigma 9 sequence of events was even necessary. Like, they could have just given him the records, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a fair point, yeah.
I feel like there's kind of some padding at parts in this episode, but...
Well, yeah, also the misunderstanding between Ezri and Bashir that doesn't really go anywhere and is resolved within the episode. Like, it doesn't add anything particularly interesting to any part of the episode, so yeah.
I mean, it's not particularly resolved. It's just kind of, it's brought up later by O'Brien, but... In fact, it's brought up right now because while Bashir reviews these medical records, O'Brien asks for an update on the Ezri situation, and Bashir says, "No go, she's dating Worf." And O'Brien is like, "I don't think that's right. Worf specifically told me they weren't dating." And he's like, huh.
That they had sex one time, but it was like an awkward, and then she told him he wasn't even that good, and yeah, he wouldn't shut up about it, honestly.
I heard way too much information. But then Bashir gets distracted when he notices that the dispersal pattern on one of Odo's scans is the exact same as the dispersal pattern on a scan Dr. Mora did years and years ago, way before Odo went to Starfleet Medical. And two scans can't have the same dispersal pattern. Like, this is well known.
Yeah, everyone knows that, except for Bashir. Except for O'Brien, who Bashir has to explain it to.
Right. So it seems like these medical records are a fake. Then the crazy out of left field deductions begin. So Starfleet Medical would never make a fake file. But you know who would? Section 31. So this all must be a Section 31 conspiracy to try to stop us from finding the cure.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Martok and Worf talk about the Gowron situation. Martok is upset. And Worf points out this is a really bad move since Martok is a strategy and tactics expert and Gowron is more of a politician. But I guess Gowron wants all the glory for himself. And Martok is like, yeah, whatever. I guess we just gotta do our best for the cause. And he starts packing up his office to turn it over to Gowron.
I mean, what a great moment for the person who does not know strategy to take over.
Right. When the war is like one of its like worst like turns.
Yes, and when like the Klingons are the only ones protecting everybody else.
Yeah.
This is the time.
Yep. Back on the cave set, some Cardassian guy has a question he wants to ask Odo, although he does it in this stupid middle school way where him and Gull, Steve, and Garrick are like staring at Odo for a long time and being like, ask him. No, don't ask him. No, ask him.
Yeah, from like 2 feet away and loudly.
Yep. So the guy asks Odo, when you were in charge of security on Terok Nor, what did you think was going to happen to all those prisoners you turned over to the Cardassians?
Why is that relevant to our current situation? Everyone wonders.
Why is that? Why is that on your mind right now?
Well, wait, did you care about the Bajorans? Gull, Steve, or whoever?
Yeah, Odo's like, you mean, did I know that you guys were such despicable war criminals? This isn't really the sick burn on me that you seem to think it is. But Odo does admit that he came to realize how horrible the Cardassians are, and the guy is like, well, how come you didn't resign in protest and kept working for us while we did all those horrible things? And then Kira's like, okay, fuck this. And she gets all up in the Cardassian guy's face. But then Gull Steve gets in the way and is like, doesn't it bother you that Odo was a collaborator? And Kira's like, he wasn't a collaborator. And Gull Steve is like, I guess that depends on your definition of a collaborator. Because if it's any of the ones that are in the dictionary, you're clearly wrong.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a very long time, but he pretty blatantly was a collaborator.
Yeah, there's really no way around it.
I mean, I feel like you can excuse him. He's not Bajoran. His people were not being oppressed. He was just an outside guy who came in and is like, hey, let me try to be like a fair neutral party here. But like for the Bajoran people to be like, no, Odo.
Right.
He wasn't like, he wasn't collaborating with them. Like, I don't think you understand.
I mean, he collaborated and he participated in some shit. So
yeah,
you just got to call a spade a spade. So, but then Odo and Garrick break up the fight and Kira storms off and Garrick tells Gull Steve, you know, you were just about to get stabbed, right? And Gull Steve is like, whatever, I could take her.
You're funny, Gull
right. Don't push it, Gull Steve. And then Kira goes into another cave and starts kicking over a bunch of boxes and cans and stuff, but Odo talks her down. And then Kira regains her composure and blames it on all the heat and goes off to find a cooling unit. And then Odo reaches down to pick up one of the cans she kicked over, but he notices something on his hand. It's that flaky stuff that the Founders have.
Yeah.
So, suddenly now he is starting to have symptoms for this disease that he's had for like 3 years.
Yeah, right.
Then Kira comes back with her cooling unit and she's like, what's going on? And he shapeshifts his hand back to normal and is like, nothing.
Certainly not flakiness, that's for sure.
I mean, maybe it's the heat that kind of triggers it. Because also, remember, Boom Boom Parkins was complaining about the heat a lot too. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know, it could be something to that. But back on Bajor, Dukat is still blind, and Kai Wynn brings him the news that the doctor can't find anything wrong with his eyes. And Dukat says, well, I'll see a Cardassian doctor. They'll figure it out. And Wynn is like, no, dude, obviously you have some kind of like curse magic in your eyeballs. And then the door rings, and a deputy comes in, and Wynn is like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. This guy is going to throw you out on the street, and you can live as a homeless blind beggar to pay for your food from whatever loose change people throw your way. And then the deputy drags Dukat out while Wynn smiles and gets back to reading her book.
Yeah, I assume that it's just a regular occurrence for Wynn to have people tossed out as blind beggars from her office, because this guy has no hesitation or like questions whatsoever.
Yeah, she explains this whole thing right in front of this guy, and he's like, whatever. I mean, the Kai likes to like blind people and throw them out on the street. This is, pretty normal stuff.
Yeah.
She's a pretty petty person.
Who knew? Yeah. So apparently, like I talked about it a little bit, I think in the previous episode, but Renee Echevarria is in here talking about how like this entire plot line was kind of like thrown in because they realized, oh man, we started the whole like Dukat win story too soon, and we don't have anything for them to do between now and the end when like it comes to a crescendo. So what do we do? Okay, how about this? Dukat gets magically blinded and Wynn throws him out, and then we'll just like, we can go as long as we need to with no movement there because Dukat is currently on the street and blind. And then when the moment comes that we're ready to jump into this story, he'll show back up and be like, oh, hey, I am unblinded now.
Nice. So they couldn't just pause with them, studying the book and trying to figure out how to release the paw wraiths?
No, that's not energetic enough, I guess.
Okay. So on the station, Gowron invites Worf and Martok into his office to tell them his new battle plans. You see, now that we're hugely outmatched, I think this is the right time to launch a massive offensive deep into Dominion territory. And Martok and Worf are like, okay, interesting, just some constructive criticism. That plan is very bad. But Gowron is like, shut up, I didn't ask you what you think.
It's true, he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Now that we're the only ones who can fight, the victory against the Dominion can be all ours. And Worf and Martok are just like, situation not good.
Yeah, I mean, does Gowron think that victory against the Dominion was always easy and everyone's just been screwing around and...
Possibly.
Like, it's so weird that he's like, yes, now that we're outnumbered 20-1, this is when the glory comes and we win.
Yep. The more glorious it will be, the more likely we are to win. That's how it works, right?
Probably, yeah.
Meanwhile, Bashir and O'Brien discuss the conclusion they've jumped to about Section 31. Bashir says they can't tell Cisco because he'd have to report it, which I'm not so sure about their reasoning there.
No, yeah, he's never been known to, go off book at all when things required it.
Once he reports it, Section 31 will find out and take steps. Send assassins or something. Then Quark comes in to give them some coffee and basically say, good luck on trying to help Odo. And they're like, wait, how did you find out that's what we were doing? Please don't tell Section 31 about that.
No.
And then Dr. Bashir makes a shocking discovery. For some reason, he had assumed that Odo must have gotten infected when he linked with Boom Boom Parkins, which I think means when the Founders were on the station. But he's had the disease for way longer than that. In fact, Bashir is able to calculate the exact date that Odo got infected.
That's impressive, honestly.
Yeah. It was the exact date that Odo visited Starfleet Medical. That means that Section 31 must have created the virus and infected Odo with it. And if they created it, they must have a cure. Again, I'm not quite sure I agree with your reasoning there.
No, and see, okay, it gets more complicated, honestly, because all the way back in that two-parter where they're on Earth and the bad admiral fakes a Dominion invasion or whatever, there was a note on that episode that was like, hey, this must be when Odo got infected with the virus while they're on Earth. There may even be a scene where he's coming back from Starfleet Medical. I forget.
Oh yeah, but didn't he link with that guy to expose him or whatever?
Yeah, he briefly did a thing. I don't know if it they really mixed together or if he just kind of forced him to, because it's not like they fully linked. He just kind of did a hand thing. But anyway, so he gets infected then, but sometime after that, the Founders take away his shape-shifting ability, which means that either the virus stuck with him through the time that he spent in solid form, and then just picked up right where it left off when he became a changeling again, or he didn't have the virus as a solid, but then he got infected again when the Dominion took over Deep Space Nine, and he hooked up with Boom Boom Parkins a lot. So regardless of how it went down, tracing it back to the correct date when he was infected doesn't actually seem like it should work.
Yeah, because that would mean, I guess, the virus was in his system while he was solid, and then growing at the same exponential
rate. Yeah. And also, he was the one who got infected with it the earliest, but is the last one to develop symptoms of it. Which doesn't also make any sense. But there's some notes about this plot line in here also, because it's just like when we move that wedding around in those previous episodes, when we started working on this, the idea was that Odo would learn that Section 31 had given him this disease, but that he wasn't it was like a Typhoid Mary thing, where he wasn't ever going to get sick of it, or from it, and he just spreads the disease to other people. But as they got into it, Eshvari is like, okay, but then who would care? Like, you find out like this thing happened 3 years ago, but it doesn't have any active like effect on our characters right now. So like it doesn't feel significant. And so it took a while and they went round and around on it. And he's like, okay, Odo has to get sick. And then he tells this to Ronald D. Moore, who's working on the next episode or the one after that, whichever, a future episode. It's like, okay, so yeah, Odo's going to have to get sick. That's the only way this is going to work. And Ronald D. Moore's like, what? No, that like ruins everything I'm doing in my story. What the hell? And then, so they had to like hash this out. And in the end, eventually both agreed like, okay, no, for the overall story, Odo has to get sick. You're right.
Even though it makes no sense.
Even though it makes no sense.
Well, I was going to say, if Odo had contact with that other changeling at the same time he was on Earth, wouldn't that be another plausible vector he could have gotten infected by?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, completely nullifying Bashir's entire hypothesis.
Yeah.
And also, I was wondering why he wouldn't just assume that he caught it, like, when he was on the changeling homeworld the first time, which was even before that.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense here, but I guess we'll just roll with it.
And in addition, like, so further complicating the plotting of these final episodes, it says originally the idea was Damar would be like a double agent. And so he'd still be hanging around Dominion headquarters with Wayun and Thought Gore and the female changeling and acting like he was still on the Dominion side. And then at some point, Ronald D. Moore is the person who goes, but hey, that means that like Damar will have this whole story for these final episodes, like an important part of this whole thing. But none of our normal main characters will be involved in that entire section of the story. It'll just be like recurring characters. And so they talked it out and they're like, you know what? We really do need some of our main characters to be involved in this if we're going to be devoting that much attention to it.
I mean, they could have still had the same thing. Like, they could have done both, I feel like. Like, Damar is coming back and secretly meeting with Federation people or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, having, like, shadowy, like, spy meetings with Odo or something.
Have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, that could have worked. Once again, 1990s, if you need our script consulting work, we are available. But so that has like these ripple effects because once again, they're working on all these episodes, the final 4 or however many at the same time. And so completely changing that part of it then like affects everything else that's going on because there's already people working on the episode Extreme Measures, which is coming up. And that plot was going to involve Kira and Odo on the hunt for a cure to the virus. But wait, now Kira's going to be on Cardassia, and so is Odo. And how's that going to work? And then it was like, okay, so maybe like Odo and Bashir will go track down a cure? And R.C. and Bear's like, no, for the big like final emotional stuff, we can't separate Odo and Kira. They have to stay together. And so it's like, okay, well then... So it's just like dominoes getting knocked over, as complicating the story that we're working on right in the middle.
Yeah, they wrote themselves into like a Winds of Winter situation. But yeah, just to wrap up this episode, Bashir decides that the mission is clear, which is that they have to get the cure from Section 31 while also avoiding getting assassinated by Section 31.
Both good.
And then the episode is suddenly over. The end.
Yep. That's it. Time to go home, everybody.
Ferris Bueller comes out and tells you to go home.
So one of the notes in here is a 3-word summary of this episode by Ronald D. Moore.
Is it some stuff happens?
No. His summary is Damar is Spartacus. Yeah, I mean, it's totally what I got out of it.
I've never seen Spartacus, but I'll take your word for it.
There's a brief note that the Romulan we see at the beginning is Sub-Commander Valal, although he's unnamed in the actual episode, but it's the guy that Kretek was like, yeah, he'll be taking care of stuff while I'm gone, and presumably, like, once Kretek was gone, that just became a permanent thing.
I thought they called him General at one point, but maybe I misheard somebody talking to Martok, actually.
And there's one note that I missed while we were at the very beginning of the episode. But on the display at the beginning with all of the like troop or the star map or whatever, there's stuff labeled JN16 and JN17 for various fleet deployment routes. And it's like, this may mean that this part of the Dominion War takes place around June of 2375. Maybe not, though. There's also an icon for Subspace Station AR-558 in reference to that relay's importance from the siege of AR-558.
Right. Presumably AR-558 is in the hands of the Dominion now. So.
One would assume, yeah. Hopefully the Federation left some sneaky spy stuff in there or something.
Oh, yeah. Or booby-trapped the communications equipment or something.
Yeah, it just, as soon as the Dominion tried to use it, it just blew up the entire system.
It just keeps getting phone calls about your extended warranty.
Yeah, that'll show them.
All right, so review time.
Yep, what'd you think of, I almost said AR-558, that's not what this episode is. But what'd you think of this episode, When It Rains?
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this episode. We're kind of moving right along. I guess they like you've described, they have these kind of general ideas of where they're trying to go, and then they're just trying to like connect where they've been to where they're going or whatever. So, where it's like, okay, we got to do something with Dukat or something to put him on pause, and then, I guess we got to touch base on the Ezri Bashir story, which I care absolutely nothing about.
Right.
But I mean, it definitely works in a modern, like, serialized binging kind of way, but I just don't feel like there's anything super special about this episode.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any, like, great moments or anything that I really loved. I mean, I do love seeing Garrick always, but he didn't seem to have too much to do this time.
I do like that the other Cardassians are, apparently he's like instantly accepted as part of the Cardassian side of this crew. He's wearing that Federation comm badge, but it's all good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and he shows up, he's like, let's just all remember who the real enemies are, and they're like, yeah, we got it. The Dominion. We're on that page. So I guess that's where he was doing his subtext, that he secretly hates Damar or something. But I'm just trying to think of anything. I mean, Dukat going blind after reading the book was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I did, and then I did enjoy when kind of showing that in the Battle of Wits, she's kind of like got the upper hand on Dukat. She is the sneakier villain. So I kind of enjoyed that. Otherwise, I don't know. Like I said, it just feels like we're just kind of like following the story, moving along. Nothing super amazing happens. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a lieutenant commander this time around. Okay. What do you think?
So this is just a very like middle episode. In almost every way. It's like we're taking that Dukat and Win story and we're going to stick that on hold. That's the only real relevance in this episode is like building up to that hold that we're putting it on. And you're right, it does lead to a couple of fun little character bits, but it's really just like, let's keep that plate spinning. They still exist, okay?
Right.
And then we're starting something with this Kira and Garrick. In a way, it's a continuation. We're continuing Damar's story, but we're bringing Kira and Garrick and stuff in. But that is setting up for what is going to happen. Nothing has really happened there yet, except for some character conflict between these people who are supposed to be working together. So nothing particularly interesting happening there. There's nothing particularly interesting happening. I mean, Bashir makes this discovery that's like, okay. I mean, once again, it's really more set up for where we're going.
Right.
So there's just a lot of, I think the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is probably Gowron showing up and being like, I'm taking over the war now, and I'm going to do a shitty job.
Right.
Like, even that is just set up for, we're setting the stage for what's going to happen moving forward. But at least it felt like some interesting stuff to me. Mm-hmm. Some interesting stage setting. So, yeah, it's just, I don't have problems with it necessarily. There's nothing that I can point to be like, this was bad and I don't like this episode because of this. It's just that it's just, there's nothing great either. There's nothing happening. We're setting up for stuff that's going to happen. We're in the middle of some ongoing stories and we're setting up a couple of new ongoing threads. So it's kind of like, So I'm going to give it a lieutenant commander. Also, it's above the line. It's not bad.
Sure.
But it's not standing out in any way.
Yeah.
Even the title is just so
right.
Like we discussed that already. But it's like all the way up to the title. This episode is so like, I don't want to say bland. I don't feel like that's fair. But it's just like not stand out in any way.
Mm. Yeah. Another thing I was just thinking about is like how clumsy the whole Bashir discovering the virus story is. And like, couldn't they just have had Odo start to get symptoms and that's how they figured it out? And then just all this like weird like leap of logic deduction that Section 31 must be behind this whole thing.
We have taken a lot of leaps there. Yeah. Couldn't possibly be anyone else.
Just because in his mind, like they're the only ones who would do this. So it must be them.
Mm-hmm.
And like deducing all their motives and stuff. Yeah, it's but whatever. We'll roll with it, I guess.
I mean, probably Sloane's going to show up and be like, "No, that wasn't us. I wish that would have been a good idea."
Oh man, that would have been cool. But yeah, so I guess that's basically all we have to say about that episode. But yeah, that's our discussion of When It Rains. Thanks for listening. If you like that one, maybe you'll like our discussion of
When It Pours. Wait, that's not an episode.
Yeah, if you can find our discussion of It Pours, special bonus episode, very secret.
Yeah,
listen to that, or maybe listen to that one where Odo was on Earth that one time, and see if maybe you can get some more clues about what's going on from that. I don't know, but yeah, you can find that wherever you're listening to this, and if you want to leave us a comment, you can go to the version that's on YouTube. But my name is Fletcher, and about to say goodbye is Data.
Goodbye.
We look forward to seeing you next week on Undeclared Bajor. But remember, don't tell Section 31. You might get assassinated.